Sometimes you've got to ask the big questions, such as, no. Well, I have a son called William, so a tick there. Skill? I'm alright at Pipe Mania and Rampart, but nothing actually practical. I'm in my late 40s. I can't hang very long from overhead bars. I get lactic acid build, which really comes along very quickly. How do you mean? It beats super quickly because I eat too many pies, so it would win a BPM race for sure. I didn't say it was, but duly noted. Honestly, no, I haven't ever fed a Christian to a lion or held a trident. Thanks for asking, though. I do get awful lonely, so it's nice that people take an interest in what I've got to say for myself. Yes, here is the multi-format American Gladiators game released on MS-DOS, Amiga, Megadrive, Super NES and plain old NES, which spread its lycra of releases over the musculature of 3 years between 1991 to 1993. Giant cotton buds, hamster balls and all. Because sadly, we didn't get a UK Gladiators game, perhaps because it arrived a couple of years too late to get an Ocean full-price game or even an alternative budget title on the ZX Spectrum. So we're stuck covering the American variant. But it's not massively dissimilar in its events or structure. However, I will give a brief overview of the whole gladiatorial franchise with perhaps a scintilla more favouritism to the UK one because, well, Jet. Always Jet. American Gladiators was an early evening competition that began in 1989 that pitted 2 men and 2 women against each other and a horde of supremely athletic gentlemen and women that would alternate across events and episodes. Those people were the eponymous Gladiators. The winner from each sex would go on to the next round over the course of a knockout-style competition that lasted 12 thrill-packed episodes. Each episode consisted of 6 to 8 events where the contenders would pit their physicality against that of the lean, mean, zero body fat machines in red, white and blue singlets. It was a mixture of gruelling events that would test the mettle of even the most hardy of souls without a big old unit getting up in your grill as well. It was a big hit, no doubt helped by having as big a bombastic approach to the whole shebang as the Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior led era of the WWF at the time. With such a huge hit doing gangbusters in the States, eager television producers the world over were keen for a slice of this pie, along with no doubt a large subsection of the country's gym bunnies who fancied their shot at being a gladiator. So the gladiatorial tendril spread to 10 territories, including, of course, the UK. Gladiators, shorn of its Yank prefix, started in the UK on ITV in 1992 and ran until the year 2000, which means it outlasted its American counterpart by a whole year. It was initially presented by Ori KKK Johnson and retired footballer John Fashanu. It was full of Americana glitz and glamour, with striped-shirted referee John Anderson, lights, fireworks, a cheesy as F rock theme tune written by the hilariously named Muff Mervyn, not to mention that most American of things, cheerleaders. You know, girls with pom-poms doing the splits on UK television. It's too much Americana. Mother, pass the teapot, I need to re-anglicise myself. In keeping with its American counterparts, we had short jock names for the gladiators that absolutely stank of sweat and goddamn power. You had Cobra, Hunter, Saracen, Trojan. You can hear those names flex and steal your girlfriend and shove you in a bin as you walk past them in the schoolyard. Those are men's men. The most notorious of these was Wolf, a snarling middle-aged grump who a few 8-bit computer users gave a knowing wink to each other about, what with him being the frontman of Barbarian's advertising. The ones that weren't looking at Maria Whittaker and her huge jugs, of course. Then we had the ladies, who had mysterious lady warrior names such as Zodiac and Vogue and Panther. And of course, Jet. My dearest Jet. So much blood rushed into so many groins UK-wide when Jet appeared on the television. I'm going to swoon. Ouch. It would be churlish of me, of course, not to mention the greatest joke ever written to Viz's letterbox page. They say lightning doesn't strike twice. Well, she caught me sniffing her leotard in the dressing room on Gladiators and kicked me twice in the bollocks. That is a joke work of art. But no television format is forever, and as time goes on, interest wanes, and as previously stated, Gladiators ran out its welcome and left our screens in the year 2000. A brief comeback occurred in 2009 on Sky One, presented by Ian Wright and the late Caroline Flack, but it didn't really have the pull of the first series, and so it turned off its travelator after just 2 series. Gladiator's second run is probably most notable for launching the sports entertainment career of one Nick Aldis, who is now a decorated multi-time wrestling champion across the pond and was recently turned up in a very prominent position in the WWE. Like a baby-oiled littlest hobo, though, Gladiators has turned up once again at a different door of yet another television channel in 2024, this time the BBC, with a new cast of gladiators that look like walnuts poured into condoms and presented by Bradley Walsh and his Nepo baby. The first episode seemed to see the show strike a chord with its new audience in its head-to-head with ITV's very popular Masked Singer, with 6 million people tuning in. Will it keep up that success? Will our love of fat-free musclemen bullying Joe Public continue to captivate UK audiences? Probably not. No, people lose interest in a couple of weeks, I reckon. We'll see. American Gladiators the game was a multi-event sports title published by Gametek. Gametek started in 1987 and they released a lot of game show related properties with Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, Double Dare, Family Feud and Hollywood Squares among their cadre of titles. American Gladiators features 7 of the featured events from the television show: Joust, Wall, Powerball, Atmosphere, Assault and the romantically titled Human Cannonball, with everything culminating in the digit-despising Eliminator. Joust is of course the iconic hit people with giant cotton buds game, but you've got to pretend that our opponent is a hateful lump of huge earwax in order to survive your platform-bound duel. It is a rudimentary boxing-style challenge as you attempt to dwindle the gladiator's health bar while he attempts to do the same to you. In most of the versions, you'll be playing a game that feels a lot like a less mobile version of Barbarian. Ironic considering Wolf's involvement. It's very clunky if truth be told. You have to combine buttons and directions. Obviously, this works much better on the console versions due to the amount of buttons. Now, the NES one is where you start to suspect something is a bit different about their interpretation of the Gladiators, as rather than being a simulation of the show, it's more of a combative beat-em-up, as you leap from plinth to plinth, hitting gladiators asunder. If you're familiar with AVGN, you'll know of this blood-curdling death scream. And yes, I have to play it because it's amazing. The NES one, though, is just as clunky as its 16-bit counterparts. The wall will have you trying to bound up a flat vertical surface like a spider on trapped fly delivery day, while your muscle-bound adversary does the same, but usually better. You're both being chased by gladiators, so you had best dash up the ziggurat lickety-split. You don't want to be pulled off by a giant sweaty man, do you? It's deeply infuriating until you get how the buttons work. The NES one is very different. The wall is huge and full of obstacles, and other wall levels, because it does change up, there are gladiators coming down towards you in their legions, so you have to go round them. They're like muscle-bound rain. The NES game then, once again, ignoring reality in favour of something more spectacular. God bless it. Human Cannonball has you leap onto a rope and then throw yourself at a shredded gladiator who is carrying a shield with the aim to knock the git to the ground. This one is all about the timing as you trying to jump on the rope and then fling yourself at the gladiator, so it might be better for people that have played something like Pilot Wings or even a golf game. Once you get the timing down, all challenge is gone from this mode. All of these are viewed side on, apart from the Super Nintendo version, which tries to do it a little bit more flashy and use a first person perspective and a bit of the old Mode 7 as well. It still plays roughly the same though. Atmosphere has you in a giant hamster ball, or as I like to think about it, because I don't think anyone really thinks about these little things these days, is those little balls you had to pour like liquid in and put them in your washing machine before they became dissolving capsules. See, now you're thinking about them and how early 90s they are. Good old nostalgia. That's what we're all here for. Anyway, you and your opponent are playing at the same time in the same arena. Your objective is to roll over the little raised golf holes to get points, with your opponent trying to do the same. The gladiators are trying to stop that kind of nonsense, and all this in a strict and tough time limit. The physics in this are reflective of the real life version, in the fact that you have inertia that carries you forward, and then you have to sort of counteract it if you want to run in the other direction. Is it fun? Not really. It's probably the worst game out of the collection. The NES one is afraid of confined spaces, and so decides not to include Atmosphere as one of its games. It's probably wise. Powerball casts you in your dream role as that logo of a man putting stuff in a bin, like you used to get on the back of a crisp packet. Only it's the high octane version of the logo of a man putting stuff in a bin like you get on the back of the crisp packet, and you've got a bunch of 6'5" bullies trying to stop you, and instead of like rubbish, you've got balls that you've got put in a bin, and they're not really bins. Sorry, I'm not really good at analogies. This resembles Atmosphere in game, with both players that are involved playing simultaneously, trying to put these balls into the holes, and for once all of the versions are the same. It's probably the most playable of all the events, even if it is a decidedly Z-tier version of Speedball 2. Assault is basically posh Nerf against a powerlifter jock with his nips out. Can you score more hits than your rival? I think you can. I have absolute faith in you. You start off in a top-down perspective, dodging pellets shot by a gladiator, and you must rapidly duck behind a wall and pick up a beanbag bazooka, and you switch to third person as you try to shoot your adversary. Easier said than done, and you only get one shot at it. So if you miss, you have to dash to the next launcher. Keep going, and you'll spy the exit, and you can call an end to this needless, silly violence. The NES one does its own thing again with a bizarre vertical shooter. I don't know, this event just seems a bit ill thought out. Again, not really a fan of it. Finally, we have the Eliminator, the show culminating event where the contestants are released at different times according to how many points they've accrued in the previous proceedings. This is the one with the Travelator vertical conveyor belt, which is what I call the moving floor when you get to the boarding gate in an airport. You know, it's a Travelator, isn't it? What is its actual name? Does anyone know? Can you put it in the comments below, please? It is a gruelling assault course made up of obstacles that your dad reckoned he could do easily, but he definitely couldn't, especially now. I love the determined walk, though, of the competitors here, like a determined Karen observing a passing retail manager about to give him a bit of their mind. It's not brilliant, this section, and what could have been really exciting and a cool and varied, more skilled version of track and field with a lot of mixing up, it doesn't really work out at all. It's a messy, unfulfilling experience. And that is indicative of the game as a whole, really. This gave Gametek a chance to stretch their game show legs with a bit of action, but that action, it's not up to snuff at all. None of the events stand out in any way whatsoever, And it's a bit naff that you can't do the event separately from like the menu screen. I mean, even in 2 players, it feels like a missed opportunity, that. It's bland, initially infuriating, and overall pretty joyless. The NES one, I think, just shades it over the others by not being as steadfastly stoic to the source material. But that praise is like saying it's the most handsome dog in a pug beauty contest. Because it's American Gladiators, and therefore doesn't feature Jet, I'm going to deduct it 5 points, and therefore the score I'm going to give American Gladiators, the game, is -2 out of 10. Sorry, them the rules. Reviews from the era were mixed for American Gladiators across the formats. Amiga Action enjoyed the antics of these roided up fellows and their video game. They gave it an 80% and said the appeal of these Yankee Glads lies in the fact that it is a simple, no-nonsense, all-out action game. Make a mistake and one of the computerized gladiators will immediately punish you. It won't be the last time you compete. You'll be back for more. Nintendo Magazine System UK, they really didn't agree. They gave it a 38% for the Super Nintendo version. Mini challenges form the ultimate test, though most of them just require you to hit the joypad's face buttons rapidly. So yeah, not a fan of that one. Next up, how about a whole month? A whole month of Muppets. That sounds like fun, doesn't it? 4 videos in 4 weeks of Jim Henson's felt-covered nonsense. How do you feel about that? Well, we're going to do it anyway. Waka waka waka. And K thanks bye.